Hey friends and family, this is Ronnie here from Southern Food Junkie, and today we're going to bring to you an awesome recipe. This is Southern fried apples. Let's get to it. Alright, so we're doing this Southern fried apples. This is an extremely easy recipe. Takes minimum ingredients, probably less than 5 or 6 ingredients. Takes less than 10 minutes to prepare this and about 10 minutes to cook it. So this is a really easy recipe, and what I like to use this Southern fried apples for, there's a couple different things that you can use this for. Today in our kitchen we're using it for a topping for pancakes. I'll leave a link down below for my recipe for old-fashioned pancakes if you want to check that out. But you can use this as a side dish for breakfast. You can use this as a topping on pancakes or waffles like I'm suggesting here. You could also use this for a side dish for a main meal such as pork. Apples, a sweet dish like this, pairs very well with pork. Pork tenderloin, pork chops, baked pork, grilled pork chops. Also barbecue, and when I mean barbecue, I'm talking about smoked pork. So let's talk about the equipment you need to make this recipe. The equipment that you need is pretty simple. You don't need a lot of tools to make this. Southern fried apple recipe is made on the stovetop here. So what you'll need is a frying pan, specifically a skillet. I prefer to use a cast iron skillet, about a 12-inch cast iron skillet, something like a large cast iron skillet with high sides. You want the high sides because you're going to be continually stirring this dish so the apples don't burn and so the sugar that we add in here don't burn. And what this will do is the high sides keeps it from spilling over. So you don't want like a pan that's kind of like this, but if that's all you got, you can use that. So non-stick pan, a stainless steel pan, those will work great too. Also, we got to peel these apples. I use a Victorio apple peeler. You can buy these off of Amazon. They're fairly cheap. They last a long time. I'll leave a link down below to the one that I use. I've had this for probably about 12 years since our kids were young. We bought this specific model to peel pears and peaches and apples, and we made baby food for our twins. So we used it a lot, and it probably still gets used at least once a week, and it's held up. I have the one with a suction base. If you don't have one of those, you can just simply use a paring knife. A small, sharp paring knife will work, but you also have to cut the core out of here. You can cut these in chunks if you want. That's really how the old timers would do it. They would just be random, different size chunks. So let's get into the recipe. Now we're going to talk about the ingredients. As always, with any of my recipes, there will be a link down below. The first line in the description will take you to our website, where you can print off this recipe here. For this recipe, you're going to need 6 to 7 large apples, 1½ teaspoons of ground cinnamon, a ½ a cup of brown sugar, 4 tablespoons of melted butter, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt, and a ½ a teaspoon of cornstarch. The very first thing we're going to do is wash our apples, and then we're going to peel them. As mentioned before, I'm using this Victorino apple peeler. So I'm going to set this in here and use this to peel off the peelings. Now we got the peelings off, it's time to core them. I use this little coring tool. I got this coring tool from Pampered Chef. It's very easy to use. There's several brands and several manufacturers that make one of these, but simply you just place it in the center, push through it, and then the core comes right out. After that, we're just going to slice our apples into chunks. I'm just going to make them into nice even chunks here. I'm cutting them in half, but then I'm going to go back, and as you can see here, I'm just going to quarter them up and make them all pretty much even. Now that we got our apples cut up in nice little chunks, it's time to mix our dry ingredients. We're going to start off by placing in our brown sugar, and then we're going to place in our cinnamon, cornstarch, and salt. And then we're going to mix all that up until it's nice and incorporated and try to get the lumps out. After that, we're going to melt our butter in the microwave, and once it's melted, we're going to add our vanilla flavoring into the melted butter and give that a good mix. Friends and family, if you enjoy this content, how about give us a thumbs up? We truly appreciate it. Toss your apples in some lemon juice, and then after you've done that, add them to your skillet. Turn your burner on to medium high heat. Pour your melted butter and vanilla extract over the apples. Using a wooden spoon or a spatula, mix the apples up so they all get coated in the butter. Grab your bowl of cinnamon sugar, and we're going to pour that over top of the apples. After that, you're going to take your wooden spoon or your spatula again and mix these up one last time to coat them all. This next step in the process is extremely important. You want to make sure that you stand here and continually turn these apples. This keeps the sugar mixture from burning, but it also allows the apples to get fully done. If you neglect this step, you'll have some apples that will get burnt, and you'll also have some apples that will not be done. So just make sure you stand here and watch it and continually to stir it. This step usually does not take more than about 10 minutes. Knowing when this dish is done is a personal preference. You're going to use a spatula or your wooden spoon to check for the tenderness of the apples. Some people like them a little bit softer, some people like them a little bit more firm. That is up to you. It's truly subjective. So once they get to the desired consistency that you like, it's time to remove them from the stove. Alright guys, there's only one thing left to do, and that's to try these out. I got them on top of my pancakes here. Let's see how they taste. That's awesome right there. Guys, you got to try this recipe out. I'm telling you. Do it right now. Well, if you enjoyed this content, I truly would appreciate it if you take the time to hit that little subscribe button right there. Also, there's going to be 2 videos that pop up. There's going to be one right here, and there's going to be one right here. If you check out those videos, I know it'll be something that you'll like as well. We'll see you next time on Southern Food Junkie. And remember, let's get food junk.